are continuing to act on this.
And Lawrence, I mean, she needs, technically, it's like fewer than 2,000 delegates total in order to lock this thing up. What you're describing there means she's racing toward that on Monday.
It's really moving fast, moving fast. And so the seamlessness, Rachel, of this transition is more than I could have imagined. This has never been done before. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris were the first people in history who had to figure out how to do it, along with their advisors at the campaign, and they have done it as of 10 p.m. tonight.
Yeah, they turned on a whole new thing in Democratic politics. All of the splintering, all of the very emotional, very heartfelt infighting, all of the worry, all of the differences about strategy, all of that stuff was never about whether or not it was important to beat Donald Trump. But by settling this matter definitively, making the transition clear and clean, they have eliminated all of the fighting that was happening in the Democratic Party. The Democratic Party is 100% unified, 100% focused on Donald Trump, and now knows how to do it. And it happened in less than 24 hours, and it's not what any of the people who were fighting about this before, any of the pundits at least, were saying was going to happen.
Yeah, the headline writers who were setting up their Democrats in disarray headlines now have to go somewhere else. But there's a tremendous suspense and what I'm sure will be excitement in the question of vice presidential nomination. That's to come.
Absolutely. Thanks, Lawrence.
Thank you, Rachel. Thank you. Well, when I was in high school, Boston Globe columnist George Fraser said he never wanted to meet politicians because he was afraid he might like them. And then he wouldn't be objective in writing about them. And I knew when I was in high school and I read that column, I knew George Fraser was right when I read that. George Fraser was an elegant prose stylist and sometimes profound thinker who grew up in a Boston Irish neighborhood like mine, went to public school, and made his way to Harvard College, where he followed the advice of poet laureate Robert Frost, the advice that Robert Frost gave to John Kennedy, which was, quote, "Be more Irish than Harvard." I knew Robert Frost was right, too, when I read that. What he was saying was, empathy is more valuable than expertise, because empathy cannot be taught in classrooms. George Fraser was right to believe that he wasn't strong enough to suppress his empathy for those three Kennedy brother politicians that he was covering in those days in the Boston Globe, if he had gotten to know them well. Many reporters were not as strict as George Fraser about keeping their distance from politicians. The legendary anchorman of the era, Walter Cronkite, befriended John Fitzgerald Kennedy and had to fight back tears on the afternoon of November 22nd, 1963, when Walter Cronkite made this announcement to the nation.
From Dallas, Texas, the flash, apparently official, President Kennedy died at 1 p.m. Central Standard Time, 2 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, some 38 minutes ago. Vice President Lyndon Johnson has left the hospital in Dallas, but we do not know to where he has proceeded.
Joe Biden was 21 years old on that day, eagerly awaiting the chance to vote for the very first time in his life in the next presidential election, when he was supposed to get to cast his first vote for the re-election of John F. Kennedy, the first president who was just like him, Catholic and Irish American. Joe Biden didn't need a world-renowned poet to remind him of the importance of empathy, which I discovered very quickly about Joe Biden when I was working for Senator Daniel Patrick Moynihan in the United States Senate in the 1990s, and I got to know and work with Joe Biden. It never occurred to me then that there would come a time when I would be working in a news organization covering Joe Biden, especially since this news organization, MSNBC, didn't even exist at the time. When I got into this line of work, it was too late for me to observe George Fraser's rule of not meeting politicians. My very first guest on this program 13 years ago was my friend, the Vice President of the United States, Joe Biden.
You and I had a mutual friend, Pat Moynihan. When you were running his show and I was his colleague, a majority in the Senate used to mean 51 votes. Since we've gotten elected, Barack Obama and Joe Biden, there's a new majority in the Senate, 60 votes. What the president's been able to do has been truly remarkable with the help of a Democratic Congress. And so those who didn't get everything they wanted, it's time to just buck up here, understand that we can make things better, continue to move forward, but not yield the playing field to those folks who are against everything that we stand for in terms of the initiatives we put forward.
You know, I didn't think of myself as running Pat Moynihan's show. Liz Moynihan ran Pat Moynihan's show, as you can remember.
That's true.
Imagine if President Joe Biden had 60 Democrats in the Senate. What he did with 50 was a political miracle that I did not think was possible. I marveled watching Joe Biden as president manage legislation that, in my legislating experience, simply could not be done without a big Democratic majority in the Senate. Wherever you rank Joe Biden in legislative achievements by presidents, if you factor in degree of difficulty, because he only had 51 votes in the Senate, including the vice president, then Joe Biden moves right up to number one. Franklin Delano Roosevelt had massive Democratic majorities in the House and the Senate to enact Social Security and so many other important advances in the way we live. Lyndon Johnson had massive Democratic majorities in the Senate and the House when he passed what would otherwise have been difficult legislation. None of those previous presidents could possibly have accomplished what Joe Biden accomplished with such a narrow majority, and none of them would have understood the budget rules of the Senate, because there were no budget rules of the Senate and no budget committees during the Roosevelt era or even during Lyndon Johnson's time. In the last few weeks, when Joe Biden watched, surely with some degree of shock, as friends of his turned against him and then spoke against him or offered forums for others to speak against him, I was not one of them. I knew that many of those people found it very painful to urge Joe Biden to step down, and that many of them were doing all of that for what they firmly believed was the good of the country. I just didn't read the polling evidence the same way that they did. And I definitely believed that it was still very possible for Joe Biden to win, as I now believe that Kamala Harris is probably on her way to winning. I am not a big believer in risk-taking in politics, and so it seemed to me that the best option was to stick with Joe Biden. And the only person who could convince me otherwise would have to be Joe Biden. Not because I had violated the George Fraser rule and gotten to know Joe Biden too well. It was because I knew his work too well. I knew the degree of difficulty that he had overcome. I knew how masterfully he united the NATO alliance to resist Vladimir Putin's war on Ukraine. And I knew how he kept winning seemingly impossible legislative victories. And I knew that President Franklin Delano Roosevelt was in much worse condition than Joe Biden. In FDR's re-election campaign in the middle of World War II, while he was secretly developing an atomic bomb and serving as the greatest commander-in-chief in American war history. Franklin Roosevelt was in rapidly failing health then, on his way to dying, 82 days after Inauguration Day, and still doing the job of the presidency better than anyone had ever done it. And I knew, and publicly insisted for many, many years, that so-called presidential debates have absolutely nothing to do with the real job of the president. So I wasn't panicked by Joe Biden's senior moments in the so-called debate, especially when he gave a very strong campaign speech the very next day, which much of the media ignored. And then I watched President Biden give the best televised presidential press conference on foreign policy in history after the NATO summit. That was the most challenging televised cognitive test you could ever want to see. I said repeatedly on this program that we were covering the campaign one day at a time and ignoring the guessing games about what was going to happen tomorrow. And so today, Vice President Kamala Harris is now the new Democratic candidate for president, well on her way to her party's nomination in place of Joe Biden. Today, at campaign headquarters in Delaware, the vice president's husband became the first person to introduce the new presidential candidate.
We have an amazing team. You have done an amazing job, and you're going to continue to do that so we can elect Kamala Harris as the next president of the United States of America. So let's hear it for Kamala Harris. Thank
you. He got to be the first to say, the next president of the United States of America, Kamala Harris. President Biden, still recovering from COVID, made his first public comments by phone to his former campaign workers before Kamala Harris spoke to them, those campaign workers who are now all Harris campaign workers.
Julie, if I didn't have COVID, I'd be sitting there with you, standing there with you. I'm so proud of what you've all done. And but this COVID has been keeping me out of people's hair for the next 3 or 4 days. But I'm going to be on the road, and I'm not going anywhere. It's kept me away a little bit. But, you know, I want people to remember that what we have done has been incredible, and we get so much more we're going to get done. And so I want to say hello to Kamala. If she can hear me, I know she's going to be speaking shortly. And I want to say to the team, embrace her. She's the best. I want to call today to thank everybody in this effort. I know yesterday's news was surprising, and it was hard for you to hear, but it was the right thing to do. I know it's hard because you poured your heart and soul into me to help us win this thing, help me get this nomination, help me win the nomination, and then go on to win the presidency. But you know, you're an amazing team. But we've got a great. I think we made the right decision. I know how hard you've worked, how many sacrifices you've made, and so many of you uprooted your lives for me, and the kind of commitments few people make for anything these days, but you made it. And I've been honored and humbled. I mean this is from the bottom of my heart. My word is a Biden, that for all you've done for me and my family. And we built the best campaign in organization in history. I've been doing this, I always kid and say, I know I'm only 40, but I've been around a long time. I don't know of a better campaign organization, grassroots campaign. You know, we have over 230 offices opened. We have over 2,000 paid staff. And we have literally several thousand volunteers on a regular basis, thousands of them. And they've been relentless and tireless in reaching out and contacting voters. The leadership of this campaign has been amazing. Jen O'Malley Dillon, Julie Quinton, Michael Tyler, Rob Flaherty, Rufus on raising money, and so many more. You built this team. You brought them together. You brought us together. You've inspired them. And you've done what leaders do.
And the New York Times is reporting at this moment that Kamala Harris has secured the backing of a majority of the delegates needed to win the Democratic nomination for president. Those 230 campaign offices that you just heard Joe Biden talking about and the thousands of staff are now working in service to the Harris for President campaign.
I've got 6 months left of my presidency. I'm determined to get as much done as I possibly can, both foreign policy and domestic policy. Keep lowering costs for families, continue to speak out on guns and child care, elder care, prescription drugs, and climate. Climate still is the existential threat that we face, and if we don't win this thing, it's all in jeopardy. And we got to keep working for an end to the war in Gaza. I'll be working very closely with the Israelis and with the Palestinians to try to work out how we can get the Gaza war to end and Middle East peace and get all those hostages home. I think we're on the verge of being able to do that. And we got to keep our alliances together. It's critically important. It took a while for me to build these alliances. Most of my colleagues have acknowledged that, but it's critically important for our safety and security. And I know I'll be doing whatever Kamala wants me or needs me to do in addition. So let me be real clear. We're still fighting in this fight together. I'm not going anywhere. And I want you to know you've always had my back, and I promise you, I will always have your back. And I'm anxious for you all to hear from Kamala. So thank you, Julie. You're the best.
That room was filled with love for Joe Biden today. And after President Biden spoke, he stayed on the line to listen to the presidential candidate whose campaign Joe Biden launched flawlessly. And then Joe Biden passed the torch to Kamala Harris.
It is so good to hear our president's voice. Joe, I know you're still on the call, and we've been talking every day. You guys heard it from Doug's voice. We love Joe and Jill. We really do. They truly are like family to us. And we do, everybody here does.
It's mutual.
I knew you were still there. You're not going anywhere, Joe.
I'm watching you, kid. I'm watching you, kid. I love you.
I love you, Joe. Oh.
And then Vice President Harris thanked everyone at the campaign headquarters, everyone who had just been through a weekend unlike any other in American campaign history.
I want to thank all of you and those who are joining from offices across our nation. So Doug and I wanted to stop by today to thank everybody and to express just what we know to be true. You all have been working so hard. The people in this office have been working so hard. And you have given so much of yourselves, long days and nights, what you are sacrificing in terms of the time you could be spending with other friends and other family. And you're giving yourselves to our country because you love our country and you love Joe and you love me, and we know that. And so today, just right after Joe made his announcement, it was important for me to continue with his role of leadership in this office, of like him, who has said for many, many, many months, and I say it today, thank you all so very much for what you are doing and what you will continue to do. So let's applaud the team. And I know it's been a roller coaster, and we're all filled with so many mixed emotions about this. I just have to say, I love Joe Biden. I love Joe Biden, and I know we all do, and we have so many darn good reasons for loving Joe Biden. And I have full faith that this team will be the reason we win in November. You all who are here. And as Julie always says, and I will quote the great Julie, we are one team, one fight. One team, one fight.
One team, one fight. Vice President Harris announced she is keeping all of the team in place, including campaign manager Jen O'Malley Dillon, who was the successful campaign manager of the Biden-Harris campaign 4 years ago.
The qualities that Bo revered the most are the same qualities that I see every day in our president. His honesty, his integrity, his commitment to his faith and his family, his big, big heart, and his deep love of our country. And I don't need to tell you all, you know Joe's background, right? I mean, he grew up in a middle-class family in Scranton, and he has never forgotten where he comes from. And so, again, I am a first-hand witness from being with him in the Oval Office to the Situation Room and seeing him on the global stage with world leaders. President Joe Biden fights for the American people, and we are deeply, deeply grateful for his service to our nation.
I'm watching. I'm watching.
I knew it.
We love you, Joe.
You're the best, kid.
And let us be very clear, Joe is not done. Far from it. He knows there is still more work to do, and our nation will continue to praise his bold and visionary leadership as president. Thank you, Joe.
Thank you.
And it is my great honor to have Joe's endorsement in this race.
You sure do.
And it is my intention to go out and earn this nomination and to win.
And Vice President Harris had a few words for the candidate she's now running against.
Before I was elected as vice president, before I was elected as United States Senator, I was the elected Attorney General, as I've mentioned, of California. And before that, I was a courtroom prosecutor. In those roles, I took on perpetrators of all kinds. Predators who abused women, fraudsters who ripped off consumers, cheaters who broke the rules for their own gain. So hear me when I say, I know Donald Trump's type. And in this campaign, I will proudly put my record against his. As a young prosecutor, when I was in the Alameda County District Attorney's Office in California, I specialized in cases involving sexual abuse. Donald Trump was found liable by a jury for committing sexual abuse. As Attorney General of California, I took on one of our country's largest for-profit colleges and put it out of business. Donald Trump ran a for-profit college, Trump University, that was forced to pay $25 million to the students it scammed. As district attorney, to go after polluters, I created one of the first environmental justice units in our nation. Donald Trump stood in Mar-a-Lago and told big oil lobbyists he would do their bidding for a $1 billion campaign contribution. During the foreclosure crisis, I took on the big Wall Street banks and won $20 billion for California families, holding those banks accountable for fraud. Donald Trump was just found guilty of 34 counts of fraud. But make no mistake, all of that being said, this campaign is not just about us versus Donald Trump. There is more to this campaign than that. Our campaign has always been about two different versions of what we see as the future of our country, two different visions for the future of our country. One focused on the future, the other focused on the past. Donald Trump wants to take our country backward to a time before many of our fellow Americans had full freedoms and rights. But we believe in a brighter future that makes room for all Americans.
Our first guest tonight was in the room there with Vice President Harris today. Delaware Congresswoman Lisa Blunt Rochester, now a candidate for Senate in Delaware, will join us next.
If you have moderate to severe ulcerative colitis or Crohn's disease, put it in check with Rinvoq, a once-daily pill.
When symptoms tried to take control, I got rapid relief and reduced fatigue with Rinvoq. Check.
When flares kept trying to slow me down, I got lasting steroid-free remission with Rinvoq. Check.
And when my doctor saw damage, Rinvoq helped visibly reduce damage of the intestinal lining. Check.
For both UC and Crohn's, rapid symptom relief, lasting steroid-free remission.
And visibly reduced damage. Check, check, and check.
Rinvoq can lower your ability to fight infections, including TB, serious infections and blood clots, some fatal. Cancers, including lymphoma and skin. Heart attack, stroke, and GI tears occurred. People 50 and older with a heart disease risk factor have an increased risk of death. Serious allergic reactions can occur. Tell your doctor if you are or may become pregnant.
Put UC and Crohn's in check and keep them there with Rinvoq.
Ask your gastroenterologist about Rinvoq and learn how AbbVie can help you save.
Life, diabetes, there's no slowing down. Each day is a unique blend of people to see and things to do. That's why you choose Glucerna to help manage blood sugar response. Uniquely designed with Carb Steady. Glucerna, bring on the day.
Upset stomach? Iberogast. Indigestion? Iberogast. Bloating? Iberogast. Thanks to a unique combination of herbs, Iberogast helps relieve 6 digestive symptoms to help you feel better. 6 digestive symptoms, the power of nature. Iberogast.
Unnecessary action here.
It appears that despite my sinister efforts, employees are still managing their own HR and payroll. Why would you think mere humans deserve to do their own payroll? Because their livelihoods depend on it? Because they have bills to pay? Hear me now, Paycom! Return the world of HR and payroll to its rightful place of chaos, or face a tsunami of unnecessary, the likes of which you have never seen.
Quince. Everyday luxury, clothing, home goods, and jewelry at fair prices. Because quality should never be a luxury. Quince. Get $20 off your first purchase at quince.com.
I was always skeptical of credit cards, but I also know it's the best way to build your credit. As an entrepreneur, that's essential. So I got the Chime Credit Builder card. There's no annual fee, no interest, and no credit check. My score's gone up over 100 points. Check it out at chime.com.
I tried a bunch of different probiotics before seed.
And they didn't help. It addressed my bloating and my irregularity.
It's really helping my daily bowel movements and keeping me pretty regular. I started feeling better and less bloated, felt flatter, lighter. I just keep going back to Seed because it actually works.
Now I walk around and smiling every day because I don't get bloated anymore.
Sleepy, headaches, dry skin, you're probably dehydrated. Try Liquid Labs Rapid Hydration. It's packed with all 5 essential electrolytes, tastes amazing, and way less sugar than sports drinks. Rehydrate and feel better with Liquid Labs. Grab Liquid Labs in the Walmart vitamin aisle today.
When we started Warby Parker, we just sold glasses, and only online. But people liked them a lot. So we offered more things, like sunglasses and contacts. And then we thought, what if we sold eyewear online and in stores? So we did that. And now we have stores in neighborhoods all over. There you can chat with friendly opticians and get eye exams from top-notch doctors. Now, no matter where you go, we've got your eyes covered.
Fiverr is a great resource because it gives us access to a wide pool of freelance talent across multiple categories who deliver high-quality results. We've completed over 100 projects on Fiverr, including illustrations, email marketing,
logo creation, designs, press releases, you name it, we've done it on Fiverr.
And it's helped contribute to the expansion of our brand.
DealDash.com. Online auctions since 2009. This PlayStation 5 sold for only 50 cents. This iPad Pro sold for less than $34. And this Nintendo Switch sold for less than $20. Go to DealDash.com and see how much you can save.
And the next United States Senator from the great state of Delaware is here, Lisa Blunt.
Joining us now is Congresswoman Lisa Blunt Rochester of Delaware, now a candidate for United States Senate in Delaware. Thank you very much for joining us tonight. You have known Joe Biden and the Biden family for decades at this point. And If you could take us back to Sunday afternoon when you got the word, how did it feel for you? What did you feel when you heard that President Biden was ending his campaign?
Well, first of all, Lawrence, thank you for having me again. And thank you for the montage that you did at the top of the show, because I think it's clear from the vice president's words as well as yours, we love Joe Biden. My family has been a part of his family for many years. And so that morning, I started the day learning that a friend had passed away. And I was literally in the person's home. The wife was one of my best friends, and we were cleaning and got the word. And, I felt sad in that moment. But later that day, he called, and to the character of the person he is, he called me when my husband unexpectedly passed. He reached out when my sister had her stroke. He was with our family when my dad passed earlier this year. He is the comforter in chief. That's what I call him. Instead of focusing on himself, he focused on the American people. And even in that conversation, he said, I'm okay. I just have COVID. And we've still got more work to do. And he just was being real Joe Biden. So today, for me, there are two words that are really present. One is gratitude. Gratitude for this president who has, for our seniors, capped the cost of insulin, for our veterans, had the PAC Act, for our communities, made sure that people had infrastructure, the Safer Community legislation. I could go on and on. And as Vice President Harris said, he has done more in 3 years than some presidents do in 2 terms. And so the first word is gratitude. And then the second word is determination. In that room today in Delaware, first I got to meet the vice president on the tarmac and welcome her back to Delaware. But in the room with all of the team, there was such electricity. You could feel the electricity and the determination to, number one, elect Kamala Harris as our next president, because she is qualified, has a proven track record, and will prosecute the case to make sure that we also do not have another Trump presidency, and that we make Project 2025, that 900-page document, something that goes in the history books. As she said, this is about the future for us, not the past.
How did you feel yesterday in what was about a 27-minute gap between the president announcing what he was going to do and then his announcement that he was endorsing Vice President Harris? What did that feel like to get that endorsement from President Biden for Vice President Harris?
Well, if you might remember, Lawrence, back when President Biden was considering running and then decided to run, I had a meeting with him, and he talked about his desire to have a woman as the first vice president. And when he was embarking on that journey, I was one of the 4 individuals called to serve on the VP selection committee. So I knew that as a ticket, they were strong. And so I will tell you, I was not surprised that he has come out so strongly in support of our vice president, because he picked someone who he knew. It is really, I say Joe Biden is truly an American hero. He truly is an American hero. He puts country over himself. And we have an incredible candidate that I know Kamala Harris she's going to win this. We're going to win this for the American people, because we know everything's on the line, from our planet to making sure that we have our freedoms and our rights, and particularly reproductive freedom. And she will prosecute that case as well, so that people know we're talking about moving toward the future, not going back to the past.
Congresswoman Lisa Blunt, Rochester, candidate for Senate in Delaware. Thank you very much for joining us on this important night.
Thank you.
Thank you. And coming up, the Democratic nominee for Senate, Angela Brooks, nominee in Maryland, also a longtime friend of Vice President Harris, will join us next.
When life spells heartburn, how do you spell relief? Rolaids. Rolaids dual-active formula begins to neutralize acid on contact. Rolaids spells relief.
Dangerous ladders, gutter muck? Ugh, no wonder you hate cleaning your gutters. Good thing there's Leaf Filter. Our patented filter technology keeps leaves and debris out of your gutters forever. Guaranteed. Call 833-LEAF Filter to get started and get the permanent gutter solution that ends clogs for good.
They took the time to answer all of our questions. They really put us at ease.
End clogged gutters for good. Call 833-LEAF Filter or visit leaffilter.com today.
You've done the work and deserve credit where credit is due. At University of Phoenix, we'll help you get every eligible transfer credit you deserve to finish your business degree. So whether you're in school or picking up where you left off, your college experience matters. See how a transfer-friendly university can help you earn your business degree faster and for less. Transfer your credits and finish what you started.
Is your shower trying to tell you something? Is getting in and out of the bathtub becoming a safety concern? Are you worried about the cost of a bathroom remodel that could go on for weeks and weeks? Well, now you can have a gorgeous new bath or shower that's safer at a price you can afford with a one-day jacuzzi bath remodel.
It was done the same day. We did not have to wait. It is amazing.
Working with the jacuzzi design consultants, it was a seamless process, and there really is an option for everyone.
I would give this whole experience an A+. I definitely wish I would have called sooner.
Jacuzzi has been making water feel great for more than 65 years. So you know it's a brand you can trust, and their products come with a lifetime warranty for a style you'll love for years to come. Plus, there has never been a better time to buy. We're waiving all installation costs and postponing all payments for up to 1 year. There are so many designs to choose from, including my Christina Preferred collection. Plus, we offer free, personalized, in-home design services to build the bath you've always wanted, right in your own space. And let's talk about accessories. From soft close shower doors and adjustable shower heads to features like grab bars and custom seats that combine safety and style to keep you feeling comfortable and independent for years to come. Plus, cleanup's a breeze with no grimy grout and no scrubbing. It just rinses clean. It's never been easier. Get your free design consultation, schedule your one-day installation, and start loving your new bath or shower right away.
Call or go online right now for a limited time offer. Only weeks left to get waived installation and no interest and no payments for up to 1 year. Go to jacuzzibathremodel.com or call 800-991-1767. That's 800-991-1767. Call now.
Quince. Everyday luxury, clothing, home goods, and jewelry at fair prices. Because quality should never be a luxury. Quince. Get $20 off your first purchase at quince.com.
We need a small business loan fast.
I got this.
Loan cannon!
There's a better way to get a fast small business loan. Go to OnDeck.com, and if approved, get your funds as soon as the same day. Your loan is on deck.
HomeAglow just cleaned my entire house for $19. No, seriously, $19. They showed up right on time and did my dishes, my laundry, they even cleaned my windows. You just pick a date, pick a cleaner, and enjoy a spotless house for $19. I love using HomeAglow, and I think you will too.
I can feel the winds of change.
Why do couples choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
I need help with their snoring.
Sleep Number does that.
Thank you.
And now save 40% on the Sleep Number limited edition smart bed, plus special financing. Shop now at sleepnumber.com.
It has been one of the greatest honors of my life, truly, to serve as vice president to our president, Joe Biden. Joe's legacy of accomplishment, just over a lifetime, but just over the last 3.5 years, is unmatched in modern history. In one term, he has already surpassed the legacy of most presidents who served 2 terms in office.
Joining our discussion now is the Democratic nominee for Senate in Maryland, Angela Alsobrooks. Thank you very much for joining us tonight. I know you were involved in the phone call yesterday, one of the speakers on the phone call yesterday, raising money for Kamala Harris starting yesterday. So for you, this campaign began yesterday. Tell us what you've achieved so far.
Well, thank you. First of all, thank you so much for having me tonight. I'm so excited to have the chance really for this moment. Last night, as you mentioned, was electric. There was a call last night that was really just organized right after the announcement, and it included 44,000 black women who got on a Zoom call last night who were strategizing and sharing strategies to help organize to get Vice President Harris elected. And on that call was raised over $1.5 million in just a 3-hour period. And so it was really, really powerful, very, very exciting. And I can tell you that that Marylanders are very excited. I've run into so many people today who were on that call, and people who were just excited, young people who are enthused and ready to get to work to get Vice President Harris elected our next president.
There were many commentators, including some experienced Democrats experienced in campaigning, who were publicly urging President Biden to step aside and at the same time proposing different versions of how you could have some sort of mini primary by having a bunch of different candidates show up on television and have some sorts of discussions. Implicit in that was the assumption among those people that there would be a bunch of Democrats eager to run against Kamala Harris for this nomination. I don't know where they got that idea. I am not surprised that there weren't a bunch, but it is very impressive that there were actually zero.
Yeah, well, first of all, let me just say that President Joe Biden has been an outstanding president. I can tell you that even on the call last night and today, I have, to a person, everyone has expressed their profound gratitude for the leadership that he has provided. And even in this moment, he continues to lead. And his endorsement of Vice President Harris made it very clear that this was the person he supported. And you know what? I'm so proud that the party is unified. You've noticed today that the party has gotten to work. We are unified, and we are together in moving forward to make sure that Vice President Harris is the next president of the United States, that we have not only the opportunity to win the White House, but to fight for the values that we all share, those around freedom and the future of our children, making sure that we are securing the 51st vote and securing the majority in the Senate, but making sure that we are also fighting for choice for our daughters like my 19-year-old, that we're fighting to have sensible gun legislation and preventing our kids from being killed by gun violence. So we are getting to work to get Vice President Harris elected, and President Joe Biden continues to lead even in this moment in his very unselfish act of stepping aside and endorsing Kamala Harris.
This election is going to be won on voter turnout. And what do you believe Kamala Harris will do for voter turnout, including in your race in Maryland?
Well, you know what? Voter turnout is going to really increase. We've seen a number of younger voters who said, I'm excited, I'm thrilled. My daughter is 19 years old, and I can tell you that she is very excited to vote for Kamala Harris. A number of our college students are excited to vote for Kamala Harris, women everywhere. So the turnout we expect to be very high. I can tell you in Maryland, we likewise expect it to be very high. I can tell you in my race, Maryland has a federal delegation that is all male. All 10 of our representatives are men. The people of Maryland are excited to vote to make sure that we have representation in the Senate that represents the lived experiences of all. But we also know that the 51st vote is really important. Maintaining the majority in the Senate is a priority. Marylanders understand that the agenda is set by whoever is in the majority, and I know that they will agree to keep the Senate blue, to keep it in Democratic hands, because the values that we all share, again, around democracy and freedom, human rights, and the future of our children is one that will be determined by the Senate. The Supreme Court justices who will be confirmed, the 51st vote will determine that. Whether we have sensible gun legislation, the 51st vote will determine that. Whether we have voting rights, the 51st vote will determine that. And Marylanders are savvy voters, and they will be voting to maintain the control of the Senate in Democratic hands.
Angela Also Brooks, Democratic candidate for Senate in Maryland, thank you very much for joining our discussion on this very, very important night.
And thank you, everyone. Please go to AngelaAlsoBrooks.com. And again, thank you so much for having me on the show.
Thank you. And please come back as we move through the campaign.
Thank you. I will. Thank you.
Thank you. Zerlina Maxwell and Simon Rosenberg will join our discussion next.
At the Jeep Make This the Summer event, you can take a vacation from payments on the most capable Wrangler ever. Our most affordable SUV, Jeep Compass. The only open-air pickup, Jeep Gladiator. And the most awarded SUV ever, Jeep Grand Cherokee. Hurry into your Jeep brand dealer and make the most out of summer with great deals plus no payments for 90 days.
During the Jeep Make This the Summer event, get $2,500 total cash allowance on select 2024 Jeep Compass models in dealer stock. See your local Jeep dealer today.
Grit, guts, glory. You've got some winning genes. Find out what you're made of with Ancestry DNA. And for a limited time, you can see how your genes stack up against world-class athletes. Or even your trash-talking cousin, Brad. See which athletic traits are built into your DNA and the people you share them with. So get on your mark and get set for the sale of the summer before Brad beats you to it.
When I was diagnosed with HIV, I didn't know who I
Kidney problems and kidney failure. Rare, life-threatening side effects include a buildup of lactic acid and liver problems. Do not take Biktarvy if you take dofetilide or rifampin. Tell your healthcare provider about all the medicines and supplements you take if you are pregnant or breastfeeding, or if you have kidney or liver problems, including hepatitis. If you have hepatitis B, do not stop taking Biktarvy without talking to your healthcare provider. Common side effects are diarrhea, nausea, and headache.
No matter where life takes you, Biktarvy can go with you. Talk to your healthcare provider today. With the Freestyle Libre 3 system, know your glucose levels. No finger sticks needed. All with the world's smallest and thinnest sensor. Manage your diabetes with more confidence and lower your A1C. Try it for free at freestylelibre.us.
At Care.com, it's easy to get a break, even if you're not on summer vacation. Join millions of families who've trusted us and find caregivers in your area for kids, seniors, pets, and homes. Go to Care.com now to find the care you need this summer.
Imagine a future where plastic is not wasted, but instead remade over and over into the things that keep our food fresher, our families safer, and our planet cleaner. To help us get there, America's plastic makers are investing billions of dollars to create innovative products and new recycling technologies for sustainable change. Because when you push for smarter solutions, big things can happen.
How can you be sure you're getting the right deal?
I have to talk to my bestie. This one's like your last boyfriend. It's got issues.
For the right used car, just say, show me the Carfax value. You'll get the most accurate price based on the vehicle's accident history. Shop at the all-new Carfax.com.
From pep in their step to shine in their coats. When people switch their dog's food to the farmer's dog, the effects can seem like magic. But there's no magic involved. It's just smarter, healthier pet food. It's amazing what real food can do.
When did I call Leaf Filter? When I saw my gutters overflowing onto my porch.
Leaf Filter is a permanent gutter solution, so you never have to worry about costly damage from clogged gutters again.
It's the easiest call you can make.
Call 833-LEAF-FILTER today or visit leaffilter.com.
University of Maryland Global Campus is a school for real life, one that values the successes you've already achieved. Earn up to 90 undergraduate credits for relevant experience and get the support you need from your first day to graduation day and beyond. What will your next success be?
Get the life back. Okay, good. He's breathing. Okay.
When I saw that Ethan was not breathing, I determined that I needed to use something to remove the obstruction from his airway.
It's very important for every household to have a life vest.
Everyone should have one in their home. Anything can happen at any moment.
I want my friends and family and the people that I serve to know that we have this device to potentially save lives.
Protect your family. Go to lifevac.net.
Go to lifevac.net or call 877-LIFEVAC.
The Texas delegation to the Democratic National Convention has also voted virtually tonight to support the nomination of Kamala Harris. That's Texas, Ohio, California, New York, Pennsylvania, Florida, all of the biggest states supporting Kamala Harris, along with several other states, North Carolina, South Carolina, New Hampshire, Kentucky, Alaska, Wisconsin, Indiana, Iowa. And so at this hour, NBC News reports that 1,992 pledged delegates have endorsed Kamala Harris for president. That is above the number necessary, which is 1976. That is the number of delegates necessary to win the presidential nomination at the Democratic National Convention. And as of this hour tonight, NBC News reports that Kamala Harris has 1,992, and it appears to be going up from there. Joining our discussion is Simon Rosenberg, a Democratic strategist and author of Hopium Chronicles on Substack, and Zerlina Maxwell, who is host of Mornings with Zerlina on Sirius XM. Zerlina, I want to pick up on the conversation we were just having, because I know you were on that call, that extraordinary call yesterday of black women that went up over 40,000 participants. We were kind of hearing about it on social media as it was happening. How did it come together? What was it like to be on that call?
Well, I wasn't actually on the call, Lawrence, because as a member of the media, I don't participate in political calls, but my phone was going off. People who don't normally text me about politics were like, "Are you on this call?" And I'm like, "No, I'm not on this call because of my job." But I will tell you that the call itself, because they told me what happened on the call, was just really black women coming together. And there's this energy and excitement that is really organic, Lawrence, that I don't think we saw in 2016, frankly, but this feels a whole lot like 2008. And this election is away with crimes, actual crimes. I mean, I worked on the campaign in 2016, and I still cannot get over the fact that we heard him talk about assaulting women on that Access Hollywood tape, and then people said, "That's not a deal breaker for me. I will still vote for Donald Trump." And so now I think a lot of those chickens have come home to roost. He is now no longer, hypothetically speaking, somebody who thinks assaulting women is okay. He's an adjudicated rapist. It's no longer maybe Roe v. Wade could be overturned. Roe v. Wade has been overturned by Donald Trump's Supreme Court. And so those freedoms and rights have been taken away from people who can get pregnant. And I think that this election is about freedom, and Donald Trump represents the opposite of that, Lawrence.
Zerlina Maxwell and Simon Rosenberg, thank you very much for joining us tonight. We're going to need you during this campaign. We'll be right back.
Power E-Trade's easy-to-use tools make complex trading less complicated. Custom scans help you find new trading opportunities, while an earnings tool helps you plan your trades and stay on top of the market. E-Trade from Morgan Stanley.
No one should have to choose between good vision and great value. That's why America's Best is slashing their prices. During the Wise Buy sales event, get 2 progressives and a comprehensive eye exam for just $129.95. Book an exam online today.
For more than a decade, Farxiga has been trusted again and again and again. Ask your doctor about Farxiga. Looking for a smarter way to mop? Try the Swiffer Power Mop. An all-in-one cleaning tool with a 360-degree swivel head that goes places a regular mop just can't. Mop smarter with the Swiffer Power Mop.
My friends call me Zam. I naturally hold a lot of stress in my digestive system, as a lot of women do. When I started taking DS-01, I immediately noticed how much lighter I felt. It really helps me stay regular. I honestly recommend DS-01 to everyone.
This bakery needs new equipment fast to keep up with demand. So they're going to On Deck, the online lender that makes it easy to choose your loan and, if approved, get funds as soon as the same day. Your loan is on deck.
After Homoglow cleaned our place for $19, we fired our old housekeeper. Homoglow tackled everything, from our kitchen to our bathroom, all our laundry. You just pick a date, pick a cleaner, and enjoy a spotless house for $19.
Guys, are you tired of frequent nighttime bathroom trips? Well, Force Factor Prostate contains key ingredients to help reduce urges to urinate, fully empty your bladder, and promote a normal prostate size. Don't settle. Rush to Walmart for Force Factor Prostate from the #1 fastest growing men's health brand in America.
That is tonight's last word. The 11th hour with Stephanie Ruhle starts now.
Tonight, the Kamala Harris campaign. The vice president gives her first remarks since moving to the top of the ticket and honors President Biden. But who will be her VP pick? One possibility, Maryland Governor Wes Moore is here. Plus, campaign cash. A look at Harris's record-breaking haul as the 11th hour gets underway on this Monday night. Good evening once again. I'm Stephanie Ruhle, live from Rockefeller Center, and there are 106 days until the election. And this was the first full day of the 2024 Kamala Harris campaign. After President Biden's historic announcement Sunday that he would drop out of the race, he endorsed his VP. Within hours, Vice President Harris and her allies jumped into action. A source tells NBC News that Harris herself spent more than 10 hours on the phone yesterday calling party leaders, lawmakers, governors, and labor leaders. And her campaign is already seeing results. It has reported an $81 million fundraiser